Let me reduce the music a little. Okay, looks like it's my headset. All right, let's get into it. So my name is Aremu Smog, and today we'll be talking about Bootstrap versus TailwindCSS versus Material UI. If you are currently on the live stream, please drop comments in the comment section. Let me know what your preferred CSS framework or library is. And this whole conversation started with me just speaking with a friend yesterday, and it was like, why do I love using TailwindCSS so much? And for me, it is just because TailwindCSS is relatively easy to work with, in my own opinion. And libraries like Bootstrap and Material UI ship with a lot of components and code that you may not need, that sometimes bloats your code base. And by the time you push into production, you just discover that your code base is slow and all of that. And that's just because you have a lot of things that is shipped with Material UI. And oh yeah, thank you so much, Verified Danny. Thanks so much for joining this stream. So yeah, so that for me is personally the reason why I love using TailwindCSS so much. However, I should mention that frameworks like Bootstrap and Material UI, they actually do come in handy when you are trying to ship things fast, or you are trying to test an idea. You're not even sure if this thing is going to work yet. You just need to do something and ship to the customer. Then definitely something like Material UI or Bootstrap is going to work perfectly for you. Now, as a means or as a way to test, I actually have 3 React.js repos set up on my PC right now, and I'm going to try and follow the documentation for the 3 libraries, which is TailwindCSS, Bootstrap, and Material UI. So my criteria would basically be, how easy is it to set up each of these libraries inside of the new code base, right? How easy is it to extend the library inside of the code base, and a bunch of other things. So yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and start that now. We're going to get into it. And I should also mention that this stream is going to be a super long one. So if you have your Gary or your Vijumik or whatever drink or what form of refreshment that you have, please go ahead and grab it now, because you are in for a ride. Yeah. So if it's your first time on the channel, kindly subscribe, like, share, and of course, please drop your comments in the comment section and let us have some fun. So let me come over. So this is the code base, right? I have 3 repos set up here. We have a Bootstrap repo, a Material UI repo, and a Tailwind repo. And also, like I said, this stream is going to be a long one. So I'm also going to be building a Chrome extension, and this is requested by a user. Let me quickly show you what one of our subscribers said. So we have this crash course on Chrome extensions, and Miriam Malik had asked a couple of questions, which was how to close all tabs after 5 minutes except the current tab. I'd actually gone ahead to help them write a... Oh, welcome guys. It says it feels far off. What feels far off? Please, what feels far off? Please let me know so that I can fix it up before we get into all of these things. So yeah, so this person has asked that how can they close all tabs inside of Chrome except the current tab after 5 minutes. So I've gone ahead to generate some code for them, but apparently they were not satisfied and they asked a couple of more questions. So I'm just going to go ahead and build that right after we do our comparison. So let's get back into the code and we'll get started. Okay, I think I will just zoom in the code. So let me just know when you are able, if the code feels better now. Okay. I love this music. Great stuff. So I have a Tailwind. I'm going to start with Tailwind CSS because I'm too familiar with the way Tailwind CSS works to start with Tailwind. I've used Bootstrap before in the past, but that was so many years ago, and I barely even know the way Bootstrap works again. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to check Bootstrap's documentation, and let's see how we can install Bootstrap inside of our React.js project, and then go ahead and build, let's say, a login page. So it's the same login page that I'm going to use for all the websites. So, so the first problem I have with Bootstrap is the fact that what it throws at you when you click on docs is it expects that you are most likely working with vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? This is front end in 2023. Please make mention of React, make mention of Angular, make mention of Vue.js. Those are like the top frameworks now, but all I'm seeing here is Webpack, JavaScript, and all of that, right? And I'm not sure how I feel about that already. But then I'm just going to come over and say Bootstrap React. So I think that in terms of maybe developer experience, so it seems like there is a whole new website dedicated to React Bootstrap. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I just want to go into my code base, or I just want to pick a documentation and be able to see everything that I need. If you are building a front-end library or a CSS library or a CSS framework, then you should have everything in terms of the front-end, not just as it relates to vanilla HTML and CSS and JavaScript. This 2023, for God's sake. So installation, it says the best way to consume this is via npm on yarn, then do npm install. So let's come over here and install. So I'm going to do Bootstrap repo. Then I'm going to do yarn. Let me just copy. I prefer yarn, by the way. I don't know why people use npm. npm is slow. Yarn is super performant and fast. So which do you prefer? If you're in the comment section, yarn or npm? I'm definitely a team yarn, but if you're a yarn fan, if you're an npm fan, please let me know in the comment section. So we are trying to install React Bootstrap now, right? Then it says the way to do this is to import button from button. They say you should import components like this rather than the entire library. Doing so pulls in all the specific components that you use, which significantly yarn. Whoop, 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 whoop. It has to be yarn. Why will you use npm? npm for what? Like, it has to be yarn. Like, if you're not using yarn, you are yarning dust. Does that make any sense? Okay, yeah, cool stuff. So this is the advised way to import. So I guess if you do import button from React Bootstrap, it's going to import all the things. Somebody is saying npm. Okay, it's fine. So if you do import button from React Bootstrap, that's going to import a lot of code for you that you necessarily do not need. And boom, it's done. So what additional steps do we need to do here? It says blah blah blah, global. We provide React Bootstrap that uses all components that the bundlers are available at this. So I'm just trying to see here if there is any additional thing I need to do here before this begins to work. So far so good. It seems that I don't need to do any extra thing. And for me, one property of a good library or a good framework is the fact that you can come over here, copy the sample code they provided, use it, and it works. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to say, then say button and say, so what is the sample that we have here? I think I should close this guy out. Now we know that it is TailwindCSS versus Bootstrap. Okay. So, okay, no example was given. So I'm just going to say, check this out. If it's your first time on the channel, please kindly subscribe. Sure, now yarning does too. Makes sense. So Ayodeji says that he started with npm. The moment I started learning Node and dug in the difference, almost the gap wide gone. Interesting. He says sure, now yarning does too. Then some Tochuku says yarn is the best. So if you're using npm, today is the day that you stop yarning dust. Amen. Can I hear an amen? Okay. How do I feel about npm? PNPM. To be honest, I've not tried it out. I've been seeing it. I've had people talk about PNPM, but I have personally not used PNPM in any project. Probably it's something we could try out in another stream. Maybe next week or next 2 weeks, we could do yarn versus npm versus PNPM. I think that would be something fun and interesting to look through as well. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. I'm enjoying this. Please keep the comments rolling. We are the ones that own this live stream. I'm just here to moderate and talk. And you guys then enjoy yourselves. He says, yarn is okay for me. Well, I feel like for things like this, right, it's okay to try out new things. So there's PNPM. PNPM is the latest things, right? You can try it out, see if it works, right, before you say, oh, yarn is okay for you. Because for me, for a very long period of time, I was using npm as well, and npm was okay for me until I had to work on a project at work, and npm was not just npming. I don't know if that makes any sense. So I had to try Yarn, and Yarn just like made things faster. So you definitely may want to check out npm as well, PNPM as well. So now we have Bootstrap. Sorry, I'm having to, so let me change the position for my, okay, did something get disconnected? Okay, cool stuff. So now we have button, then the button says check this out, and I'm going to do yarn start, okay, localhost 3000, paste this guy in here. We see Bootstrap, but we do not see the button components that are imported. What could be the reason for this? Remy Eguda says, I need mentorship. I service center div, still learning JS. It's a good process. We have a bunch of videos on this channel that I think you can check out. And something that I would also advise is try and be like members of communities, right? And basically try out learning platforms. And there's a platform that I recommend highly. I talk about it in almost every video on this channel, and that's FreeCodeCamp. FreeCodeCamp is like literally like the foundation for my career. Even up to now, I still go to FreeCodeCamp to like learn a bunch of stuff. So yeah, so if you're looking to learn, if you're looking to grow as an engineer, especially on the front end, the FreeCodeCamp is definitely a platform that you want to check out. Okay, yeah. So I hope that makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for joining this stream, Remy. I hope you are subscribed to the channel. Please do. Yeah. So thank you so much. So let's continue. So I've imported button from React's button component. Let me try and inspect, and let me see if there is any additional settings that I need to do, or if there is any error in the logs or anything. There's no error in the logs. So why is the button not showing up? So let me try vanilla button and just say, check this one out. So let's see. Okay. So it seems that all buttons are not showing up and there is no error in the logs. Is this a React problem or a Bootstrap problem? To be honest, I want to blame it on Bootstrap. But then let me just be sure that I installed, okay, yarn.log has changed. So definitely I installed in the correct repo. Oh shit, that was my fault. I'm so sorry, guys. So I was modifying the app.js inside of Tailwind repo. Woo! Bootstrap repo. And I blamed Bootstrap for that. I'm sorry. I hope somebody on the Bootstrap team doesn't watch this video one day and attempt to sue me. Okay, so import button from button. Boom, then button. Check this out. Save it up and let's see what that gives us. All right, yeah. But this button at the moment seems to be doing what a normal button would do. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to check the docs. I'm going to check the docs for Bootstrap. Then I'm going to come over to components, buttons, right? Then let's see, what's the default value? Is there a default value here? I'm just going to say, okay, over here, let me see if there is anything like a variant and all of those things as equals this guy. Okay, variant equals primary. So I was expecting to see something like that. Variant equals primary. Save it up. Okay, this is not changing. So that means there's something I definitely needed to do in terms of the setup. So my guess is I probably needed to add, I need to add this additional line of CSS. Oh, it says, oh, you're familiar with FCC, FreeCodeCamp. Oh, that's amazing. You've subscribed since afternoon. Found you from Reddit, my favorite platform. Oh, interesting. I love Reddit as well. We all love Reddit because you get to meet amazing people. I want you to mentor me. I'll be centering deep for you. Okay. So the thing is, as web boss, we don't build a lot of projects at the moment, right? So if I'm mentoring you, and the thing is, like, I have a lot of things I'm doing right now. I'm trying to run this YouTube channel. I have a 9 to 5, but I guess we could talk. I would just drop a link to Twitter or ADP list. You could book a session with me on ADP list, and we could take it up from there. I think that would be better. Yeah. So I will send you a link to ADP list. You can book a session, then we'll take it up from there. So I made a mistake in what I did earlier. So I'm supposed to add this to index.css or app.css. I think index.css is better. Paste this guy in here to import. So that's what it says here. It says, oh, index.js rather. I was wondering that import is not a CSS thing. Ctrl Z, save that up, and come over here, refresh this guy. Let me see, let me confirm that import Bootstrap from the distributed folder bootstrap.main.js. Save this guy up, come back here, boom. And finally we have a button. After a couple of minutes, we've been able to create a button inside of Bootstrap. Okay, so what else am I going to do? So the next thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and create the entire form. Okay, let me just drop the link to ADP list for you. adplist.com.org. Oh god, I have to use my personal browser. I remove smog. So I'm just trying to get my ADP list for anyone who would like to like book a session with me. I talk to engineers who are just getting started in software development. I spend 30 minutes with them every Saturday. The entire duration is actually 1 hour 30 minutes, but I spend 30 minutes with each person, and the feedback so far has been good. So if you feel like I'm the right guy to talk to, whatever stage you are in your career, especially if you're like maybe junior or mid-level, even though I consider myself mid-level most times, but then I feel like there's a bunch of things that probably I could teach you or that you could learn from me. So we have Bootstrap, check this out. Then the next thing is we want to create a form. So let's come over to forms here and let's see the components that we have. It says form control. So first and foremost, this syntax looks scary, but I'll just go ahead and copy and paste this code, right? Copy and paste this code. I'll go ahead and copy and paste this code. Oh, I have to move to the, oh, look at me, I'm acting like an old man. I had this open in front of me, but I was not even paying attention. Okay, so it says import Bootstrap. Okay, yeah. So there's something I wanted to check, or there's something I would like to check rather, which is this. If I do import, so you can see, so there's this plugin or this extension that I use inside of VS Code that's called import cost, right? And you can see that the cost of this button alone is 3.5 kilobytes. The form component alone is 8.6 kilobytes. So what if I did import button from React Bootstrap? What is the cost of React Bootstrap? Oh, it's not showing the cost. I wonder why that is, but interesting. Okay, I was hoping to do a comparison, but unfortunately it is not. Unfortunately, it is not calculating the cost. I didn't build the extension. Sorry. So I'm going to come over here and say form. Bring this guy in here. Variant is primary. Yeah, the ADP session is absolutely and totally free. This is my way of giving back to the community, and that's just because I didn't get a lot of help when I was getting started in tech. Now I feel like I'm telling my life story, but then nevertheless, we move regardless. So it seems like So yeah, so basically the ADP list session is absolutely free, $0 $0. If you would like to drop something for WebBoss, there's a link for that. But yeah, the ADP list session is free. So it seems like to create an input, I have to first create a form group, then create a form label, then create a form control, and now create a form text. Wow, this looks like a lot of work. So I'm just going to do this, right? And I'm going to copy and paste this in here, save it up, and let's see what that gives us. Oh, enter your email, we'll never share. So I'm guessing this is basically additional information for the inputs, field. So let me try text danger. Like I said, I have some idea about, okay, yeah. So it means that if there's an error in an input, then you can definitely just do text danger. So like I mentioned when I was starting, or at the beginning of the session, right? If you are trying to build something super fast, something like Bootstrap definitely works for you. See, I'm literally done with an input feed right now. And yeah, it's for invalid. That's absolutely correct. So I'm literally done with an input feed right now that has validation and everything around it. So let me try and add some state in here. Let me just say text input, and set input equals to use states. Then do this. Then const undo change equals e, right? And of course we'll destructure targets and value from e, right? Then we are going to do, this is not a React.js class. I'm just trying to use this as an example, right? Then I'm going to come over here and say const is valid, comma set is valid equals use state true. No, it's false by default. Then I'm just going to say if value dot length greater than 3, set is valid to true, else set is valid to false, right? No, what I need is just the name. That was incorrect. E.target. So set is valid equals false. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is set text input, set text input to be equals to value. Oh, it should be set input. Name your variables well. The two hardest things in computer science is sketching, validation, and naming things, so don't blame me. So set input to value, right? Then, so the question now is, how do you undo change inside of Bootstrap? So I just want to make a wide guess and say on change equals undo change. Then the value equals text input. Save it up and let's see what we have so far. Okay, no problem so far. So what that means is I can come in here now and say it's valid, right? It's valid. If it's valid, the text should be success, else text danger. So let's see what we have now. Oh, and we are done. Mad. See, I remove smog. Nice. We can add is valid and say success, something wrong, say correct, then something wrong. Please, if you have any other questions that relates to maybe Bootstrap and software engineering and front end in general, please go ahead and drop them. Don't be logged into talking about Bootstrap and this guy alone. So Aremu Small. Oh, nice. I love this. Interesting. So like you see, like if you are trying to build fast, if you are trying to move really fast, then Bootstrap is probably what you want to go with, because just now we've been able to create an input box that is styled. Now, the only problem is if you are going to make this input box custom, then you have to dump in a bunch of new classes, and that's where it gets annoying when you are working with something like Bootstrap. So let's say, for example, what I want is just a border bottom. What I want is so let me quickly see if I can whip up Figma, if it's not going to take forever to load. So I want to try and see if I can change the style of this input, and let's see how fast we're able to do that. And let me see if there is a part here for customization, because that's very, very important to me, being able to customizing theming and customizing styles. Let's see what it has to offer us. It says components. Okay, it says import variant sample. What is this? Style text, then variant equals flat. Okay, looks like you would have to either override. Wow, this is looking like a lot of work. So you have to use a theme provider, then variant equals this, then prefix equals my BTN, inspect the markup and see. Wow. So let me just try and, just for the sake of this tutorial, right? So that you guys won't say, not this tutorial, just because the sakes of this stream, so that you guys won't say I'm an hater, I will actually go ahead and try to customize this input. So it says new variants and sizes. Custom variants and sizes follow the pattern of the default Bootstrap variant and define CSS classes matching components asterisk. React builds the component class names in a consistent way that you can rely on. So for example, this flat button. So it looks like I can come over here and say components, right? I'm just going to try this once. If it doesn't work, then I'm just going to stop. So I'm just going to say small input, smug that day, small input.jsx, right? Then I'm going to import form from React Bootstrap /form. Let me see, /form group. What is it? What is the identifier again? Form, I need to see app.js, form.control, form control, okay, form control. Okay, so I'm trying to customize. Okay, so Remy says for front-end React.js, which framework is best? And I mean between Tailwind and Bootstrap. So to be honest, in most React projects that I've worked with, there are 2 frameworks that I've seen, or 3 frameworks that I've seen used consistently. That's a styled component, right? I've never had to work in a code base that has Bootstrap. I've only had to use Bootstrap when I'm working on demo projects, or let's say, for example, I want to work on a tutorial and I don't have the time to think about styling. Take note of that. You don't want to think too much about styling. You just want to pick components that have been given to you and just execute or just write code and focus on the business logic rather than the way things look and feel, right? So I prefer in that sense to go with Bootstrap if I'm just trying to fiddle with an idea. However, if you are building like a product or you are building something from scratch and you already know that, oh, there's a market fit, you have all the time in the world to make things work, you can definitely go with TailwindCSS. And the fact that you can even customize, the only downside to that, which I think I should not be talking about yet, but I'll still talk about, is that you would have to create your components from scratch, which many at times is usually the case because each company and each business usually have their own design system or components library and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's my response to that. So let's try and see if we can create a custom form input, a custom form control. I'm just going to come over here and say function variant. I'm going to say it says variant examples. Yeah, I just leave it as variant example. Then I'm going to say form control, right? And it says btn. So what I want in this case is I don't want a background color. I probably want a background color. Now you're writing vanilla CSS. See, you remember that Thanos meme that says, where did this bring you? Right back to me. Now we are back to writing vanilla CSS. What's the point? This is why I hate Bootstrap. You have to overwrite things. Like Bootstrap tells you, oh, we make life easy for you. But no. You still have to write some small CSS. That's to make life easy. So background white, background color white. Then the border bottom, the border is just border bottom. I'm going to make this 2 pixels solid yellow, right? Then the size, I'm not sure I even care about the size. Yeah, so I'm going to say const. So now I need to find the format in which buttons or forms are styled inside of TailwindCSS, inside of Bootstrap. That is already stressing me out. So I have to come over here and inspect and see from basic input, then say form control. So I have to do form control. Oh, I think form control, and let's see. The inputs even have a variant. Inputs don't have a variant. So I literally have to override everything. So form control, right? And let me just do variant. Let me just do flat. Border bottom, this guy. Then I'm just going to do flat. Save it up, right? And let me see. For instance, this custom button, prefixing component, prefixes example. I'm not interested in this. I'm just interested in, and generally shouldn't be used. Okay, so now I'm going to try and import this. I'm going to try and export default, and I'm just going to say variant sample. You know, the problem I have with this documentation also is that vanilla CSS 100, Bootstrap 0. Bootstrap is 0. So yeah, framework, cool stuff. So form control variant equals flat. Now the problem I have with this documentation is the fact that it shows you the code, but it doesn't show you an example of how to use the code. And I don't think that's a good thing. So right now I need to figure out how do I use this new variant that I just created. And I think I'm getting frustrated already. Except 2 people says, okay, go ahead, then I'll try and figure out, I'll try to see if I can figure this out. But in my head, I'm just like, okay, probably I would have to now do, I'll now have to do something like, so let me just come over here and say smog inputs, save it up, app.js, then it means that I have to come over here and say smog inputs, right, and unchanged. Just basically put everything that I had in here over there, save it up, and it's showing a warning, 1 error and 1 warning. What is the warning? And then it says you are tempted to, which falls outside of the source directory. Okay, so I should have put these components inside of the source directory. How did I make that mistake? Move, please. Yes, update components, import, save it up, and let's see what that gives us. What happened? And boom. And Bootstrap is broken. Not inputs. Okay. Or let me try and do this. Somebody says, my Bootstrap is stressful somehow. It dey stress me too. Oh. It dey stress me. It dey stress me right now. So I want to try and see if, let me say variant equals flat. Let's see if this is going to work. Nothing is happening. So on that front, ladies and gentlemen, we have been able to establish that if you are looking into customizing things, if you have like a shiny design system, a custom component library, then Bootstrap may definitely not be what you want to consider, because it is stressful, and the documentation that we have here isn't saying so much about how to customize things. And I'm guessing that's because they don't want you to customize stuff. Now, last chance for Bootstrap is, I'm going to try and use this exact example that they used, and let's see if it's going to work. Let's see if it's going to work. So I'm going to say import button, right? Because I don't like giving up on technology, you know. I'm going to say small button.js. I think a couple of things that this documentation can do better is, first and foremost, is one, the name of the file would really be helpful here. Like, what did you name this file, right? It could really be helpful. There's some form of toggle to see what the output looks like, right? I know they tried to show an output here, but I mean like where you're actually using the code, not just showing me the output, because many times you care about the code. I care about the output as well, but I care about how you are using the code in your code base, not just you showing me this. Or, wait, are you kidding me? Am I supposed to, oh shit, it seems I just figured it out. So what I was supposed to do is come over here. Oh shit, I just figured it out. So what I was supposed to do is, I was supposed to come over here, right, into the app.js. I was supposed to come over here, then inside of the return, do something like this, right? Do something like this. Oh no, not like that. Do something like this. Wrap this entire thing inside of here. And now I can say that the variant of this guy is flat. Let's see. If that's it, I'm going to sue somebody on the Bootstrap team. Really? Did you guys just see that? So that's what I needed to do. So essentially, so let me see. I think that's such a terrible example to use. Such a terrible example to use, because I believe you should be able to put this inside of your index.css or whatsoever, inside of your index.css or app.css, right? Let me see if putting it inside of app.css works. It works. So I don't know why they didn't specify that way. So like the issue here is not just with the framework itself, it's also with documentation. And if you are trying to decide on a framework, you don't want to pick a framework where you have to be figuring things out. Like, things should be as clear as possible. This is 2023, for God's sake. We are not writing Python or COBOL or Fortran where you copy and paste the code and the code won't work. If I was working with a legacy code base, yeah, I would agree, but this is Bootstrap and there's a Bootstrap 5 point something or 5.0. And okay, maybe if there's any open source person here, maybe we could just, let's see if they have a GitHub page. There's a GitHub, so you can do the Lord's work, contribute to their GitHub, right? But I'm not doing this. I know it's Bootstrap, but I'm not doing this. So, okay. So it means that I can remove this guy now and save it up. So I hope you are learning a lesson, guys. Don't give up. Never give up. Even when you feel like giving up, don't give up. I don't a motivational speaker. But this is interesting. I think that example was a really terrible example to use, by the way. I'm still convinced that it was a terrible example to use. They could have used a better example instead of dumping the styles inside of the code base. And I think that's an issue on the Bootstrap end. I think that's one issue with Bootstrap. Okay, so we've been able to establish that we're able to create components and variants for them by writing vanilla CSS. So what I think, but to be honest, right, because I've used Bootstrap in the past and what we used to do in the past, or what I used to do in the past, is to try and override the styles. The fact that you can now create new variants for the components makes a lot of sense. But then if you are creating new variants to use for your own code base, what is the point of now importing the entire code from Bootstrap that you most likely will not use? It doesn't make any sense. So let me guys know what you think about Bootstrap so far in general. Is this something that you think you'll be willing to try out, or is it a no-no, you're never going to try Bootstrap, you're never going to touch Bootstrap? But like I did say, if you're trying to build something very fast, you're not thinking too much about customization, something like Bootstrap definitely works, and it works well. So I'm going to go over and try and set things up in Material UI now. So let's check out Material UI's website. So it says move faster with intuitive React UI tools. And so far, so good, to be honest. I like the things I'm seeing, things like custom calendars. This looks really nice. Yesterday, tomorrow. Oh, this looks really nice. You have a bunch of buttons in here and all of that. So the description says here that MUI offers a comprehensive suite of UI tools to help you ship new features faster. Start with Material UI, fully loaded components library, or bring your own design system to our production-ready components. So we are going to see if this claim of bringing your own design system works. And I think the litmus test for this is how easy it is to add new components, to add new variants to components. And if you're adding new variants to components, do the code that Material UI already shipped for you, does it still remain in your code base? Because that would be a lot of bloat. Like if you're adding more code on top of Material UI, I don't think that will be performant in production. So let's go into the Material UI repo. Let me guys know what you think so far in the comment section. Are you enjoying this live stream? Is there something I should be doing better? And I will look for a way to improve. I can't make any promises. I'm not God. Okay, so come over to the File Explorer, then close all elements, close all open files, Bootstrap versus Tailwind, collapse all of these guys, then Material UI. So I'm going to stop the server now. Then I'm going to come over here and say MUI repo. And of course, I'm going to, Material UI uses emotion. That's already a problem for me. I don't know why. Because if you are a library and you use another library under the hood, I have a problem with that. Because it means that if I want to customize this library now, this is just a wild guess, right? It means that if I want to customize this library now, then I need to know the way emotion probably works. But we'll find out, I guess. This is my first time working with Material UI. I've never used Material UI. So I think I will have less bias when it comes to accessing Material UI. I'm feeling thirsty, but then we do it. We do it. I don't know why my music is not playing anymore. If you guys can still hear the music, please let me know. But I guess it's an issue with my headphones. Oh, I think these headsets are dead. These headphones are dead. I think it should be back now. All right, we're having Material UI. You need Chivita. Oh, sorry. I wish I could get you some Chivita. We can hear the music. Oh, amazing. That means I was the only one not hearing the music. Wow, life is not fair. Let me change the music. Let me switch the music up a bit. And by the way, guys, this is not a paid advertisement. If you're a YouTuber and you're on this stream, you can try out Epidemic Sound. They have amazing collection of sounds. If Epidemic Sound ever sees this video, I think they should come and sponsor WebBuzz. Right? I just tried Epidemic Sound today, and it's working really amazing. They give you 30 days free trial, right? And you don't need to pay up front. All you just need is a valid debit card or credit card that you can put in there. And for 30 days, you have access to amazing sounds. And the music that you are hearing on this live stream, they are from Epidemic Sound. So, okay, yeah. So Deji says that from chakra knowledge, you don't need to know it, but it is helpful. Oh, that's amazing to know. So you don't need to know the way emotion works, but Material UI uses emotion under the hood. That's fantastic. And Material UI is installed. Who is excited? Okay, so get started. So always click on get started if you've never used the framework before. Advantage, I'm not interested in all of this. It says material UI versus MUI base. Material UI and MUI base, blah blah blah. But MUI base comes with without any. Okay, wow, without any default styles or styling solutions. Material UI is comprehensive in that it comes packaged with default styles and is optimized to work with emotion or style components. I love this already. Oh, Segford says he uses epidemic sound. Please use epidemic sound. Why are you not using epidemic sound? And he says he has been using it for client work since 2019. How amazing is that? Segford, I think epidemic sound to sponsor you, should sponsor you. Segford has a YouTube channel, by the way. Please, guys, check it out and subscribe. He's one of our regulars here on this stream. Let's support each other. Let's move this community forward. I don't even know what should we call ourselves in this community. Web bosses. Drop name suggestions for what we should call ourselves. We do this stream every Sunday, so we should have a name that we call ourselves, right? And please tweet this, put it on Twitter. Tell them you're having so much fun in this session, and let people join as well. So I think something I'm liking about Material UI is the fact that they also have a solution that does not come with any styling. I think that's amazing. For someone like me who likes to build things from scratch, basically I like to suffer, right? They give me the freedom to say, okay, don't worry, we'll give you all the components that you need, then style things up by yourself. I think that's something that looks amazing. But I'm sure that a lot of people actually don't use MUI based, will most likely use Material UI just because, you know, developers are lazy. It's okay to be lazy. The lazier, the better. So installation, so yarn add, then we start components. So if you want to use start component, say tech bosses. Whoa! Name suggestion, tech bosses. That's name suggestion number one. We'll probably run a poll based on the names that are dropped during this stream and determine the one that we are going to use eventually. So first option is tech bosses. So it says yarn add. So visit the styled engine guide care dependencies. So it uses Roboto. You may add it to your project with yarn or with Google CDN font. Really? I have to install the font separately. Wow, that's looking stressful to me already, but I will do it. I'm going to do it for this stream, for the culture, for the tech bosses. For the tech bosses. Let's do it for the tech boxes. I said boxes, for the tech bosses. Okay. So it says Google Web Fonts. Okay, or you could just link this. I think I like the sound of this instead of like imports. Then it says icons. Now we have to install 1 million things. Interesting. Yarn add. Now, when you have to install, personally, I have issues with installing a lot of stuff. Google Web Fonts, you have to add that one again. To install Material UI fonts in your project using the, okay, so you can use this option instead of using yarn. The one that is on style and just handle stuff like accessibility for you. Exactly. I totally agree with you. Styling, I feel like styling is the bare minimum right now as a front-end engineer. There should be more things you should be thinking about in terms of like the business logic. So if you totally have a components library that can undo a lot of things for you and you just need to add your own style on top, then you definitely should go. Oh my God, I'm saying the wrong thing. You definitely should go for it. So CDN, so we've installed everything that's required of us. Then let's check out the usage. So it says import button from MUI material button. So almost the same syntax with Tailwind. And why is everybody using button as the first component? So I hope I'm editing the right thing this time around. Let me just come over here to confirm that. A Chrome extension, MUI repo, perfect. So then I'm going to do button, right? Then I'm going to say variant equals contained hello world. Contained feels like a strange word to be using for variant in components because many times you are used with Radix UI, headless UI are great, amazing. Yeah. Then Ayodeji says it's easier to understand, I guess. Contained, like this is so strange. How will you name a button and the variant is contained? Like I'm used to saying things like primary, secondary, but then it seems like Material UI team, they don't care about me or my feelings. So I'm just going to do yarn start. You just want to make money. Okay, I don't even know if they make money from this. Is this a paid tool? No, they run adverts. So definitely they make money indirectly. You shouldn't trust them. Okay, so let's see this guy now. Hello world. Whoop! I think in terms of setup and example, in terms of the documentation, Material UI was actually way easier to use than Bootstrap, right? Because for Bootstrap, we had to like tweak a bunch of, but what are we seeing here? 47.5 kilobytes for just a button? Is this playing? What type of playing is this? Whoa! Bootstrap button was less than 10 kilobytes. Material UI has a button of 47.5 kilobytes. Whoa! No, I'm sorry. Town Hall is indeed different from Bala Blue. Wow. Mad. Wow. I'm actually shocked. 47.5 kilobytes. That's much. That's too much. That's a whole lot. That feels like a code base. Like you can literally build an entire website and everything won't be more than 47.5 kilobytes with HTML, CSS, and some JavaScript inside of it. But a single button is 47.5 kilobytes and it's even zipped. Whoa. Whoa. These times are fucking hard, man. Okay. Wow. That was shocking. That was so shocking. Woo! Okay. It says globals. I'm not sure I'm interested in all of this. The next thing I would like to see is the form. So it says official examples. Now, this is an amazing thing in terms of documentation. You see that they are giving an example of how to use the code inside of the code base. You have Next.js, you have Create, React App, Remix, Gatsby.js, Preact, Vite.js, Next.js. This is amazing. Bootstrap does not have that. React Bootstrap, which is actually the official website that documents the way Bootstrap works inside of React, does not have all of these examples. And MUI, like it claims on the landing page, it says that it is the faster and most intuitive ways to work with the UI tools, right? Move faster with intuitive React UI tools, right? So I think this is really good. And I'm even seeing GraphQL API and Release Starter Kit, React Most Wanted. Oh, this is interesting. This is what documentation looks like. React Most Wanted. React Starter Kit with Most Wanted application features. Wow, that's something new I'm learning. This is something new. This is a discovery. Whoop! This is why we do these streams. You see, even I call myself web boss, or we call ourselves web boss. We don't actually figure it out. Interesting. I would like to see what React Most Wanted is. And I feel like there's a lot of things that one can learn here as a front-end engineer, especially in terms of things when building applications where you should put like your frame of mind and all of that. Wow, I like when I go into the documentation of a library or a framework and I'm learning something new. And that's something that is happening for Material UI so far. I like the fact that the documentation is detailed in that they show you how you should actually do the things step by step, and the examples are actually working the way they have said it. I love the fact that there are new stuff to learn. I think it's time to switch my internet provider. Oh, no, that's the wrong place, wrong number. Other networks. Oh, there's 5G now. Interesting. I'm not interested in 5G. Oh, this other network is down. React Most Wanted is not loading. This website must load though. Please, somebody remember to remind me that I should check out React Most Wanted before this stream is over. Okay, but then this is looking really good so far. Code splitting, Firebase. Wow. This is looking really interesting. These features include Create React App, Material UI, code splitting, Firebase. The resulting app is a fully functional progressive web app and has all 100 points on Lighthouse. You say, what? What? It says authentication and authorization. What? Are you seeing what I'm saying? Whoa! I'm definitely saving this repo, man. I'm definitely saving this repo. I have to build something with this. Can I hear an amen? Can I hear an hallelujah? Whoop! That's amazing. That's super amazing. You have a lot of amazing stuff here. And we stumbled on this all thanks to Material UI. That's a sign of a good CSS library and framework. Then create your, oh, interesting. I like what I'm seeing here. And these are just example projects that you can literally fork or clone and you'll be able to do stuff. Then you have templates here. In fact, I should be looking for the components, but I'm so sucked into this documentation that I am willing to look through. That is what a good framework or a good documentation should do to you. Let me check the source code for this. Like, it's like I'm here and I just don't want to leave again. Like, there's just so many interesting things to see, right? Signin.js, and you have these, all of these guys, all of that. Okay, no problem. So let's look at the components. And I would like to see what an input looks like over here. Layout, utils, we have portals, we have popover. Interesting. Oh, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this actually. We have typography, H1 heading. What I'm looking for is inputs, form. Now, a good sign of a great documentation is you should be able to search. Command K. Let me do form inputs. Okay, I don't like this. What I'm saying here, form group API, form props. No, let me search for inputs. Okay. Now, I'm not interested in the API. I just want to see the input itself. I'm not interested in the details. Now, this is information overload for me. So we have form. So I think the form control refers to the form input itself. Now, this is looking confusing. Input label, input. So it says provides context such as field focus. I'm not interested in that. I just want to put a component inside of this code base. So we have form control, form helper text. I think it draws a lot of inspiration from Bootstrap, because this is basically the way our Bootstrap looks like so far. And at this point, I'm still not seeing what a form control looks like. Okay, so I guess I'll just go ahead and do this. Import form control. And I'm expecting to see what, like 130.2 kilobytes. So how is it? Okay, a form input is less bigger than a button. Okay, I'm still shocked about that button though. Then input label. I don't know. Isn't there supposed to be like some form of component for these guys? Let's see. Because right now it's not saying anything. Right? And he said the documentation choke. He choke. Oh, he really choke. So input label. So let me just try and do input label. And let's see. Input label. Oh, interesting. Input, then input. Then form helper text. Oh, wow. The fact that you have to import all of these things individually, I don't know how I feel about that. And these three things, so the form control itself is 30.2K kilobytes. The form helper text, the input and the label is 46.3K kilobytes. So on this page alone, the name of the extension for the import size is import cost. I think I should do a video about import cost visit. It is by weeks. I guess they could not really. Okay, I was about to drop a joke there, but the joke is not entering. I'll try again next time. So on this page alone, we have 47.5 plus 30. I'm actually calculating these on a calculator. And guys, if you've been enjoying these live streams, you observe that my picture quality is a bit better. Is it better? Can you see I look finer? Okay. 30.2 plus 46.3. So on this page alone, we've not written our custom React code, and we have more than 120 kilobytes, just components that we are importing. Jesus Christ of Nazareth. That's a whole lot in my opinion, right? But let's see if this is going to be worth it in the end. And let's come over here, save it up, and refresh. Okay, React Most Wanted is still loading. Where's, okay, save it up and refresh. Oh, no wonder. It's all this serene. That's why it is looking like that. Interesting. I know it takes a bit of work to implement something like this. So I think I understand why it is that heavy, right? But then it still doesn't justify like 120 kilobytes just to import components, and you've not even started writing the code, and this is just one page. Now imagine having to do this on a couple of pages. Then that's going to be really wild and crazy, right? So we are going to do the same thing that we did inside of the Bootstrap repo. So I'm just going to copy and paste the code, app.js, which is checking the validity and all of that, and returning something on screen. So come over here before the return. Then please, if you're on this live stream and you're not subscribed, subscribe. We are begging you, please. Use states. Save it up, delete. So the value will be input text. The value with input text, or text input rather. Let me do Alt-Z. So it should be Ctrl-Z. I want to do Alt-Z so that it wraps the text. Let me close these guys out as well. That's Command B. Text inputs, right? Then that value then on change. Okay. IntelliSense is in for it. That's plus undo change. Welcome, Remy. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right, and I hope you are Nigerian and Yoruba, because Remy is actually a Nigerian and Yoruba name as well. So undo change, on change equals undo change. Please, two things. I need to drop my ADP list link so that you guys, anyone wants to book a session can book a session. And also, we need to check out React Most Wanted. I'm really interested in that stuff. Please, someone should remind me before we drop this live stream. So undo change, we'll never share your email, blah, blah, blah. And on change equals this guy, undo change. Then the problem I have with this now is epath text. Okay, save it up and let's see. Of course, we'll just say is valid. Is valid, we'll say go ahead. Else, stop it. Save it up, come back here, and let's see. Dashlane, thank you for now. So right now it says, don't ask me again. So right now it says stop it. Then I'm going to say remove. Then it says go ahead. So in terms of, oh, amazing. Thank you so much for joining up. So in terms of styling, I want to check what the states look like, success states and all of that. I want to see what it looks like in Material UI. Okay, then I'm going to do Material. I'm going to do status. Let me see. No. Let me check typography. Wow. So Material UI is looking very confusing right now. I feel like they did an entire overhaul of the way things work, right? So, whoa, color. So the prop is color. Interesting. Let me check the, wow, Material UI. I was so excited about Material UI, but man, it feels like there is a lot of things so that you have to wrap your head around before Material UI makes sense. But people who have used it did say they enjoy working with it. But for me, I just feel like the learning curve is just too steep, and you don't seem to be able to find what you what you are looking for very easily. So, and that's a problem for me, really. So right now I'm just looking for how to change a text to red or to green, and it's apparently becoming a big deal. So let me see. Typography. Where's typography? I think this should tell us. Helper text. Whoa. Okay, so let me search for colors. Color. Text field. Color. Okay. All right. Okay. So color success. Okay. So it seems that color. So you can append a color and say is valid. If it's valid, then the color should be success. Else, the color should be warning or error. Well, warning. I'm just guessing it's warning. They are not showing the example. Looks like Material UI and Bootstrap are on opposite sides of life. Material UI shows you the example, they show you the way it looks like, but they don't show you the actual code for the color. Color equals warning. Okay, warning. Okay, let's come over here. So it's successful right now. And I think that works for validation. But what I want to try and see is if I can change the color of this text, right? And I think the same thing should work, actually. Whoa, it didn't work. Actually, it didn't work. Wow. Color? Nope. Color is not a property on this form helper text. Let's see the properties that we can have on this guy. Please don't do this. Form helper text. I'm not even seeing anything that is reasonable here. I'm Yoruba by ethnicity. Oh, amazing. Nice to meet ya. Okay. So my issue with this is we couldn't change the color of this text to green. I guess there will probably be like a arc, maybe using like the typography or something. But if you are going to add something on top of here, please make it customizable, right? What else do we need to check for here? I think that, okay, yeah. Then the next thing is how easy is it to add a variant or extend these styles? I already feel like it's going to be stressful to do that inside of Material UI. So let's do customization. So we have, for customization, we have just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can customize components, you can customize Z-index, typography, transitions, and theming, and that's it. So components, right? So default props, it says everywhere has a blah, blah, blah. To change this default props, use the default props CSS in the components key, right? This button has been disabled to theme provider. Nah, I'm not interested. Honestly, it falls back to one thing, right? Or it falls back to one thing. These guys don't want you to, we should be able to pass the X code. Oh, really? Okay, let's try that. X code, let's do hash 000FF. No, red, green, blue. So it should be 00FF00. Then warning should be a fine blend of the two of them. It should be red, green, blue. So we should have some red. So let me just do AB, hash AB. Okay, I will zoom in on the browser. Thank you so much. AB, green. Yep. Let's do 6. Then for the blue should be 00. I hope this should give us a nice orange color. I'm zooming in, right? Oh, let me change something up as well. There's something I'm doing here as well. but I think it's not really making sense. So app.css, index.css, then, oops, there seems to be a dark background color in this body, then app.css, app, text align, background color, remove this guy, and okay, yeah. So I think it's a bit much more visible now. Please let me know if the browser is now much more visible. If it looks better now, I think this works now. Alrighty. So I've passed the X code and see, oh no, still the same thing. The color didn't change. The color did not change. The color didn't change. That's stressing me. Let me just, oh, this color is wrong, but this one was correct, by the way. So let's see. Still the same thing. Alrighty. Okay. So creating a component or extending a component, I'm not sure I'm going to do that. It just looks so stressful. I don't know why. It just looks so stressful, man. It's not a client project now. So it says you can use the variant key. Whew, this is looking stressful. This is looking really stressful. Theming, theme provider. Nah, I'm not doing this. This is where it stops. It looks like there's a lot that you need to do in order to set this up, and I'm not even sure if it's going to work here. I'm seeing create theme. I'm saying, nah, I'm definitely not doing this. Or I'll render how it works. Oh, thank you so much for that. I had given up. Okay. Thank you so much for that. So obviously this color is getting added to it, right? Then we have P equals this guy, helper text ID. Let's check or search for helper text color. Let's search for helper text color. I think that the fact that we have to search for every tiny little thing is even a turn off for me. Helper text color. I think this is where children classes. Oh, so it has an error. Does it have a success? Error. Field focused. Disabled. So there's no success state on this guy. I think I have an issue with that. This is looking too complex. Valid. So let's see. Apparently right now, reverse is the case. So if I do small, interesting. So it should be not valid. Right now, I feel like if there's an error state, there should be a success state for it as well. Or maybe it's intentional, since there's a lot of success and warning states for this guy already. I think that's material UI. We can now go on to TailwindCSS, which is what you all have been waiting for, which is what I enjoy working with, right, for obvious reasons. So we're going to come over here. I will show you, okay, don't let me make any promises yet. So TailwindCSS says that rapidly build modern websites without ever leading, it says, I said leading, without ever leaving your HTML. So if I click on get started, right, you have this installation. It says TailwindCSS. So now look at this, like, oh my goodness. It says Tailwind CLI using ProCSS, then framework guides. And this shows you an infinite amount of frameworks that you can use TailwindCSS in and how to set it up. I think that's amazing. That's definitely a plus. All I have to do is now look for create React app. Create React app. So npx create React app. So it says npm install in dev mode TailwindCSS. So I'm going to stop this development server now and come to Tailwind repo. Then I'm going to do yarn add. I think this won't work. Okay, it's working. Yeah. Then we are installing that in the TailwindCSS repo. We're moving. I like to move it. You like to move it. You like to move it. Whoop. Let me take a picture for the gram. You people are leaving. Don't leave, oh. Okay. Then the next thing is npx TailwindCSS init. So it created a tailwind.config.js file for us. So Tailwind repo, we have a new tailwind.config.js file. Then it says that configure your template part. Basically, you can see that it highlighted this code. So all I need to do is just come here and copy and paste. Even though I feel like when this boilerplate code was being generated, when this tailwind.config.js was being generated, maybe this should have been in it, right? But I guess the reason they pointed this out is just in case you are working with a different configuration, you are aware that, oh, this is actually what determines the path where the classes are going to be purged in production, right? Save it up, right? And we have all of this. To be honest, right, even though I'm a TailwindCSS fan, doing all of this process looks a bit long, but the fact that I can just copy and paste makes it easy. So I'm just going to come over here, right, and come over to index.js source, index or app.css. I think I'll prefer app.css because that is app.js. Let me see. Index.css is imported everywhere. So I'll put it in index.css. Then at Tailwind base, at Tailwind utils. Then we can do npm run start. Then we can do yarn start. Local is 3000. Error in module not found, can't resolve Bootstrap button. Okay, this was where I made the mistake the other time. Delete it, please. Button is not defined. Of course, button is not defined. Boom. It says Tailwind repo, check this one out. Another one. Okay, so obviously, Tailwind CSS doesn't ship with any component, right? So what that means, which is kind of a downside to Tailwind, is the fact that you must already have an idea of what you want your components to look like. So I can come over here and say class name equals BG, let's say yellow, not yellow. I'm going to say BG blue, because most primary buttons inside of most component libraries actually uses a blue button. Then I'm going to say the text should be white, right? Save it up and voila, we have that. Padding, okay, for padding we can just do P3, save it up, and you have that. Then for border radius, just do rounded. Okay, yeah, I use Tailwind, that's why I'm calling all the commands from art. But the truth is, we've not had to import a 40 kilobyte component just to create a button. What we just need is a button. Why are we importing a 40 kilobyte component? So So I kind of like what we have so far, and to be honest, it works. The reason I might be missing here is things like accessibility and all of that, which you can, of course, like always add. You can always add on top of things by yourself. But really, we are done, and you can literally come over here and even create your own button component and say button, right? And just come over here, button, return this guy, and come over here and say children, then props. Render the children in here, and put the props inside of here. Save it up, and okay, of course, we don't have a button again. It means we can now come over here and say button, say check this out, save it up, and okay, I'm not sure I did a return. I did a return here, children props, button. So what's happening? TailwindCSS wants to form my hand. Nope. Okay, I'm coming. Pass name equals this. Let me see if anything is getting rendered in here. App, button. Okay, so there's a button here, but it seems not to be. Oh shit, that's because no, that's not the reason. That's not the reason. Props, save it up, and let's see what we have here. Still the same thing. I need to confirm that there isn't something terribly wrong here. I'm just going to do H1 button. There's definitely something wrong here. Const button. Oh, I understand what's happening now. I understand what's happening. So it was because this guy not inside of this header. Save it up button, and you see we have checked this out. And you know the interesting thing or the amazing thing now is if I need a variant for this button, right, I can just come over here and say something like const. I can literally come over here and say variant, right? And let's say, for example, default is primary, right? And many a times for variants, the things that change is usually like the color or the text, right? I can come over here and say const variant styles equals, make it an object, then it's going to be primary, then put these styles in here, right? Then I can come over here and say that this guy now is variant styles into bracket variant, right? Then save this guy up, come back here, and you see it still works. If I then come over here and say, let's say I had another variant and say secondary, right? And instead of a blue background, I do BG white, save it up, and I say text, let's say black. Then I come over here and I say that the variant equals secondary, save it up and come back in. And you see it's white. And the advantage of this is, now you would say that eventually this button might grow to be as big as that of Material UI or that of Bootstrap. But the thing is, at least it is growing as the need arises. Unlike Material UI that for a tiny application, let's say for a login page, you're already importing over 120 kilobytes of one component inside of your application. I don't know. I hope that makes a lot of sense. So, and you can see that the fact that we've even extracted this guy into its own components makes it even easier for us to be able to manage these the various variants of this component. And we have an entire video on this channel. Let me plug the channel quickly. We have an entire video on the channel on how to do this. check out videos. It's one of our highest ranking videos. You are using Tailwind CSS wrongly. 5 best practices on how to work with React in Tailwind CSS project. You can check it out. It's very interesting. We have a crash course on Chrome extensions. You can check that out as well. We have a crash course on how to build your first front-end application in 1 minute. It was a challenge, but it was very interesting to work on as well. You can check that out as well. So, variant styles, primary, and boom, you are done. So, what other things can we do here? The litmus test, inputs, and you see that we've already covered something, which is in terms of extending the styles and in terms of extending the components. We've already been able to do that, and we didn't even have to go into Tailwind CSS documentation because we are following the basic principles of React and not logged in into the way the framework works. I don't know if this makes sense or if anybody on this stream so far understands what I'm saying and if it makes any sense to them. So I'm just going to come over here and say input. Of course, we need to say label, right? And I would say, I'm going to say that this class name, I'm not adding any class name to it here. I'm just going to say HTML4 equals email, then the name equals email, right? Then the form group which they create, right, is usually something like a div, right? HTML4, then the name is email, and I can say your email address. Save it up, and of course, it's not going to have any styling. Check this out, your email address. It's not going to have any styling, obviously. Wait, I think there's a problem somewhere. I feel like we have some, okay, yeah, Tailwind, all right, cool stuff. I think the font size, index.css. Okay, don't let me waste too much time on that. Let's just focus on what we have at hand. So you have your email address, then you have this guy. Of course, if I click on your email address, okay, I think the ID should be email. HTML. Oh, I did form 4 instead of 4. When you click on this, it does that. Amazing. So if I want to style this, all I need to do is just say class name. So I can come here and say, class name. By default, your input field is an inline element, right? So I can make this guy block. So it drops to the bottom. Then I can come over here and say class name equals text align. I'll just say text left, just to ensure that the text is aligned to the left of this guy, right? Then any other styling that I need, I can throw it in here right now. Like, there's freedom to do whatever it is that I want, right? And the interesting thing is, I can, if you are using a form validation library, say something like Yelp and all of that, it's actually going to work here as well. So then the litmus test, then you can have a paragraph here, something that's going to say is valid. Let me just copy and paste that code from MUI, app.js. That will be all of this code. All of this code, tailwind config.css, app.js, the repo, and the change. On change, first, and the change, right? Then if it's valid, I have to say go ahead, else stop it, right? And the class name here is going to be is valid. We're going to do text red. Then over here we are going to do This is a ternary operator, Alt Z, Option Z. Then we are going to do texts, green. Let me do 700 as well. Save it up. It says use state is not found. Let's do use state. And just do import use state from import use state from React. From React. See, even the entire React library itself is just 4.1K, 4.1 kilobytes. Not to now talk of a library, a UI library. Wow, interesting. So, then the value equals text input. Save it up, and let's see what we have. Let's stop it. This is red already. Let me do. And I'm going to do. Then I'm going to do this guy. Class name. First text black. Save it up, and let's see. Remove small. And there you have it. It also works. Of course, this requires some overhead, but you see that I literally didn't have to leave this code base to even go and check the documentation, because basically I'm working inside of React and I'm just focused on the way things work React-wise. And that's the end of the comparison. We still have a Chrome extension to build, by the way. It shouldn't take so much time, as I've not really written some of the code, but I understand the way the logic is going to work, so it shouldn't take so much time. So let me know, what do you think? Material UI, Bootstrap, or Tailwind? Which one are you most likely to use on your next project? Like I mentioned, if I'm working on a project that is not so specific in terms of design system, I most likely will use Bootstrap. Material UI seems to have a lot of potential, but the fact that the file sizes are just too large. I don't know. Like, I can't look up and be seeing an import of 43.7K kilobytes, and I will be able to comfortably ship that into production. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. And also, the fact that there seems to be a new way of thinking when it comes to working with Material UI, that's also like a downvote for me, right? But the documentation looks very exhaustive, very detailed in terms. The installation, super fast. The installation super fast, every other thing looks super fast and makes sense, but the usage itself, the developer experience itself, I'm not sure it's so great. For TailwindCSS, apparently the time that you're going to spend writing CSS is going to be added to your development time, but please, you know that you are in full control, you have full control over the way the components are going to get rendered. The documentation is excellent and it's really easy to get things done. So yeah, that's my own conclusion in general around the various UI libraries. Let's go ahead and build that Chrome extension. So what this Chrome extension does is, when you run the Chrome extension, right, and you click on it, there will be a button. We will have a button inside of it. When you click on that button is going to close every other tab, but this tab is going to remain the same. But every other tab will be closed after 5 minutes. So let's get into it. So Chrome extension, I'm just going to say close them all. Close them all. Abi, close others. Close others. Close other websites. I need to stretch. I feel like I've been sitting for so long. Woo! Yeah. Tailwind, of course, does feel easier. Close other websites. Then I set permission for tabs just to ensure that I have access to the tabs that I want to work in. Then I'm going to come over to pop-update.html. You can check out the crash course that we have on this channel. If you don't, because I'm not going to go in depth Chrome extensions development with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, because I'm not going to go in depth into how a lot of these things work. I'll just focus on like building the extension itself. So I'm going to come over here and just say button, and just say close others except me, right? Then I'm going to say ID equals close others. Then I'm going to style this in here. I'm going to say hash close others, and I'm going to make the background color blue. The color itself, I'm going to make it white. I'm just going to add some padding of 20 pixels to the top and 30 pixels left and right. Then I'm going to come over here, manage extensions. Then I'm going to, switch to developer mode. Then load unpacked. Then I'm going to come over to documents, web bus, live streams, Bootstrap extensions, then all tabs except me. Save it off, and we have that. So if I come over to my extensions tab now, you can see we now have close others. If I come over here now, I want to leave this guy open, and I click on this guy. I'm not going to unpin. So there's something I need to do here, which I have not done inside of the manifest.json. And I'm going to do, I think it should be default actions. Then this is going to be an object. Then the first key here is going to be pop-up. Then it's going to be pop-up.html. That's essentially the file that we want to show when we load this extension. Save it up. Let me come over here to extensions, refresh this guy. It says error. Refresh. Okay. I just need to look at an existing repo. Just give me a sec to do that. Smog github.com dev first demo manifest.json. Okay, yeah, it should be action default pop-up. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I will do that. In fact, let me grab it right now. So it should be action default action. So it should be action default pop-up, then pop-up.html. Save it up. And let me come over here now and refresh. And now we should have this. So you can see close others except me. Let me grab the link. So just in case that's what you've been waiting for. So you can book a session with me here on ADP list. 30 minutes. I've spoken with 15 people. You can check out their feedbacks. I'm not sure. Okay, yeah. So you can check their reviews if that would help you and all of that. Cool stuff. So I'm just going to do one tiny little thing here, and I'm just going to say cursor, pointer, save it up, come back here, boom. Then what that means is I can come over here now. Let me see, our pop-up.js is linked. I can come over here and say const close button equals document.query selector. I'll just say hash close button, right? Then close button.add event listener or click. I'm just going to say alert, close them. Let's check this guy out. It's not alerting. Why is that? Pop-up.html. Okay, it should be close orders. So it should be close orders. That was the error. I'll We now have closed them all. Fantastic. So the next thing we want to do is to query all tabs inside of our browser. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do const all tabs, because Chrome is a global object, right? Tabs query, right? And if you promise, I'm going to do async. I'm just going to wait for all tabs. Then I'm going to alert the JSON.stringify of all tabs. Come back here, and boom. I expected an error to show up. Let's see what the error is actually. And it's just reading of app effects. It said no matching signature. Okay, yeah. So in that case, what I can do is I can pass the window. According to the documentation, you should actually be able to run this fine, but obviously it's not what you call it, it's not working. So what I can do is window ID and say chrome.windows.current ID. I believe this should work. Save it up. Nope. Save it up, and let's come back here. And you see, we have all the windows that are currently active in here, right? And the next, so we have all our tabs now. And the way to remove to close all these tabs is simply to say chrome.tabs.remove, right? Then pass the tab IDs in here. Okay, so I need to get the tab IDs. So I'm just saying const tabs or tab IDs equals all tabs dot map, right? And I'm just going to get tab dot ID, right? Then I'm just going to pass tab IDs. Of course, I'm going to wait for this guy to run as well. Then let's see what happens. Let me see if I don't have any critical window open here, like StreamYard. Alrighty. Okay, then let's remove this alert.stringify, JSON.stringify, then click on this guy. And you see, that closed all the tabs in the browser. And in fact, it's attempting to close StreamYard as well, but I don't want that to happen. So you see, we're able to close all the tabs, but we don't want to close the current tab. And to get the current tab, we just have to do const current tab equals await chrome.tabs.query, right? And I'm going to say active, true, then current window is true as well. In order to be able to access the current tab, we need to add a new property to our manifest.json permissions, and that's going to be active tab. When you add new permissions, one of the things you want to ensure that you do is, so I have to open this guy again, web boss. It literally closed everything. So I'm going to do so let me open one more tab, google.com. Okay, no, not Gmail. Google.com. Alrighty. So now, because in order to prevent the tabs from getting opened, from getting closed, I'm going to delete this guy. So I'm just going to alert JSON.stringify of current tab. Okay, bring this guy, then okay, it gives us the current tab. Fantastic. So from the tabs that we want to close, we want to what we want to do is we want to filter out any tab that is not the current tab. So After mapping through and getting all the IDs, the same thing, next thing we want to do is to do filter and say tab, right? Then say tab.id. Now, there's a problem, which is that this guy, this promise, by the time this promise resolves, it's going to return an array. So what I want to do is pick the first item of the array, which is like at index 0. So I'm going to say tab.id not equals current tab.id, right? Then I can come over here now and say chrome.tabs.remove tab IDs, save it up, and I need more stuff. Let me do other faces.tech, webboss.com.ng. Let me do fourthcanvas.co. Any website. I'm getting a server error when I'm checking, trying to check. Oh, it has to be an issue from ADP list end. It has to be an issue from ADP list end. You can try that again, right? So so you can try like maybe like tomorrow. Don't worry, I only do the sessions on Saturday, so you're not missing out on anything yet. So now if I come over here and I click on close others except me, let's see what happens. Oh no, it closed everything. Let me see what happened. Await current tab, await all tabs.id, filter. Oh, I made a mistake. It should be tab ID. It should be tab ID since we've mapped. So the array now becomes tab ID. So it's no longer an object. So let's do that again. Cancel. I'm so thankful to StreamYard for showing this pop-up. So YouTube, webboss.com.ng, fourthcanvas.co. So this guy is in the middle. Let me close this guy, close all that except me. Boom. And you can see it closes all other tabs except this guy. And if you want that to happen, if you want this action to happen after 5 minutes, all you have to do is just say const 1 minute equals 60 seconds, right? Const 60 seconds makes one. Okay, so 1 second, yeah, const 1 second. This is one of the principles of clean code. Don't work with magic numbers, right? So if you have a number in your code base, what does that number represent? Don't assume that people know what the number represents. Yeah, especially when you are knowledgeable. So this is 1000 milliseconds, right? Then 1 minute is 1 second multiplied by 60 is 1 second multiplied by 60, right? Yep. So if you want to do 5 minutes, all you have to do is just say const 5 minutes, because 5 multiplied by 1 minute, and you can do a set timeout. Right, and run this after 5 minutes. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to run this after 1 minute, just to ensure that we see the way this works. So I'm going to basically just duplicate this guy, and duplicate this guy one more time. So over here, I'll go to fourthcanvas.co. Right here, I'll go to YouTube. Right here, I'll go to Google. Search for WebBoss. And I am going to click on this guy, close other tabs. and after 1 minute, it should close all the other tabs. I give com. Is that what you said? Interesting. So 60 seconds. We're almost wrapping up this stream. If it's the first time on the channel, kindly subscribe. Thank you so much for joining, guys. I really, really, really appreciate. Whoop! It's not easy to be in front of a computer alone and just trying to like run to yourself without people to talk to and all of that. So I really appreciate you guys for coming around. Thank you so much. So Remy, you can try, what do you call it? You can try again tomorrow. You can try again tomorrow, or say later tonight, to see if it's going to work. Righty, so we are just waiting for this to run. I should have set a timer. I should have set a timer. Let me do countdown timer. One minute. Let me just do it on my phone. So if after the timer hits 1 minute here, it still doesn't work, then it means that there's a bug. Okay, by next month end. Next month end seems far. I should be, there should still be sessions open. Oh, next month end, that's February. Yeah, that's most likely true actually. That's most likely true. So it's showing an error here. Cannot use import statement outside the module. Oh, interesting. So that was the problem. This was a mistake. It was a bug. There is a bug. Hi, Code Sensei. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate you stopping by. So let me close this guy now. Hope there is no error. There are no errors. So let me restart this timer. And after 1 minute, I expect that all windows should close. So I don't know if you can see this, but then the time is running now, about 30 seconds in, a couple of seconds in actually, a couple of seconds in, 39, 38. So what I'm working on right now is an extension that closes all tabs except, oh, I'll do that. Please let me know if the background sound is better now. So what I'm working on is a Chrome extension to close all other tabs in the browser except for the current tab, and it's supposed to do that closing after 1 minute. So it's 1 minute here now and the tabs are not closing. So what could be the problem? So, okay, I guess I know what the problem is. Let me do this again and let's leave it on. 1 minute. 1 minute countdown, a minute countdown, 56, 53, 52, 50, 50, 49, 48, 47, 46, 44, 43, 41, 40. Then it's almost 30. Right. 30 now. Just a couple of seconds to go, and we're going to see if this piece of code works. We're going to see if this piece of code, if it works. Whoops, 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 whoops. Whoops. And it's closed every other thing after 1 minute. Amazing. Whoop. Remy, congratulations. I'm happy you were able to book a session eventually. So the reason the code didn't run initially was because I had closed this out, so the code could not run again. If you want to be able to run the extension, and if you still want the code to run after you've closed the extension, then you have to pass it through a background worker, via Chrome alarms. I'm not going to do that because it's a little bit complex and I'm getting tired. It's just, we are 2 hours into this. There is work to get to tomorrow morning. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining. And I hope to see you next week. I don't know the last people on this street. Kindly say hello so I can give you a shout out. Actually create a banner for you to thank you for joining. So I think Remy is still on the call. Thank you for waiting to the end, Remy. I think Remy is on the call. Thank you for waiting to the end, Remy. I really, really appreciate. I hope to see you next week. Next week, we will continue building other pieces of tech, right? And just some exciting stuff. We'll be doing more exciting stuff with TailwindCSS by next week. So I can't wait for next week and to see and interact and chat with everybody. I don't know if Code Sensei is still on the call as well, but let me just do a banner for Code Sensei as well. Thanks for waiting to the end, Code Sensei. Code Sensei. Save it. Boom. Thank you so much. Let me take a picture for the gram. Not even for the gram, for my WhatsApp status. And cheers. Don't forget to build like a boss. I'm ending the broadcast now.